A dirty cop is more than just another criminal. Imagine being the detective at a murder you committed. That's exactly what a dirty cop is. In this unprecedented tale of betrayal and deceit, the Guardians turned out to be the perpetrators themselves. The heist, totaling a staggering $10 million, unfolded in the unsuspecting city of Medford, Massachusetts, USA, during the prosperous era of the 1980s. What makes this narrative truly remarkable is the identity of the culprits, none other than police officers themselves. These individuals, entrusted with upholding the law and maintaining order, instead utilized their authority to orchestrate what could only be described as a flawless operation. Their scheme was meticulously crafted, exploiting their privileged positions within society to navigate through the intricacies of the law and evade detection. Despite exhaustive efforts by investigators, the perpetrators managed to cover their tracks so thoroughly that not a single clue emerged to lead authorities to their doorstep. The sheer audacity and cunning displayed by these rogue officers left law enforcement baffled and powerless, unable to penetrate the veil of secrecy surrounding the heist. The city of Medford, known for its affluence and financial stability, found itself shaken to its core as news of the betrayal spread throughout the community. However, the most astonishing revelation was yet to come. As the story unfolds, we delve deeper into the aftermath of the operation, uncovering a series of events that will leave audiences stunned. From the bustling streets of Medford to the corridors of power, the twists and turns of this gripping saga will keep viewers on the edge of their seats until the very end. The trust and reliance of the citizens of Medford in their bank were profound, symbolized by the safety deposit boxes provided by the institution. These boxes, available for rent, served as repositories for the community's most prized possessions, embodying a sense of security and assurance. In the dual control system implemented by the bank, each customer possessed one key to their safety deposit box, while the bank staff retained the other. This arrangement ensured an added layer of protection for valuable items such as cash, gold, jewelry, and important documents, instilling confidence in the bank's ability to safeguard their assets. The bank's vault, where these safety deposit boxes were housed, stood as a formidable fortress in its own right. Constructed with walls, floor, and ceiling fortified with iron-reinforced concrete, each measuring an impressive 50 centimeters in thickness, the vault was virtually impregnable to all but the most determined intruders. Further enhancing its security measures, the vault featured imposing steel doors that guarded the inner safe, where the bank's own funds were securely stored. This reinforced the perception of invincibility surrounding the vault, instilling a sense of awe and reverence among both customers and staff. The intricate web of corruption that facilitated the massive bank heist in Medford underscored a systemic failure within the very institution tasked with upholding the law. At the center of this elaborate scheme was Gerald Clemente, a captain within the city police force, whose descent into corruption paved the way for one of the largest heists in American history, yielding a staggering haul of $10 million in cash and jewelry. Gerald's transformation from an idealistic rookie to a mastermind of criminality was not an abrupt deviation from his principles, but rather a gradual process fueled by the pervasive culture of corruption within the police department. Paired with a senior officer named Crasher from his earliest days on the force, Gerald found himself immersed in a shadowy world where ethical compromises were the norm. The encounter with another corrupt officer pilfering a lounge chair from a store served as a pivotal moment for Gerald, unveiling the depths of depravity within his ranks. Crasher's counsel to turn a blind eye to such transgressions epitomized the prevailing ethos of the department, where honesty was scorned as a liability rather than a virtue. As Gerald navigated the treacherous waters of police corruption, he realized that maintaining his integrity would ostracize him from his peers and potentially expose him to retaliation. In a culture where loyalty to the brotherhood of corruption was paramount, dissenters risked isolation and retribution. The bank heist orchestrated by Gerald and his accomplices was not merely an opportunistic crime, but the culmination of years of moral decay and institutional rot. As Gerald delved deeper into the world of police corruption, he became increasingly adept at exploiting his position for personal gain. Surrounded by like-minded individuals willing to cover for each other, he realized the ease with which he could abuse his authority and evade accountability. With his newfound knowledge, Gerald transformed his lifestyle, furnishing his apartment with the spoils of his illicit activities. Stolen furniture, electronic devices, and even large appliances adorned his living space, serving as constant reminders of his complicity in the criminal underworld. Despite his descent into corruption, Gerald managed to maintain a facade of respectability within the community. His reputation as a skilled and dedicated police officer remained untarnished, shielding him from suspicion as he continued to operate with impunity. In a cruel twist of irony, Gerald's corrupt actions did not hinder his professional success. If anything, they bolstered his standing within the police force. His commendable arrest of an armed gang leader earned him accolades and prestigious honors, further cementing his reputation as an exemplary law enforcement officer. This duality, wherein Gerald was both a corrupt perpetrator and a celebrated hero, exemplifies the complexities of his character and the systemic failures that enabled his wrongdoing to go unchecked. This reputation and the accolades he received helped him climb the ranks, which in turn allowed him to better conceal his corrupt activities and thefts. Gerald was living the double life, a brave police officer to the public and a corrupt thief in secret. As Gerald's life became increasingly complex, he found himself navigating dual identities not only in his professional life, but also in his personal relationships. Despite being a married man with a family, he maintained a secret affair with a mistress, further complicating his already intricate existence. The dichotomy of his life extended beyond mere deception. It was a complete duality, wherein he presented one persona to the world while concealing another reality beneath the surface. This intricate balancing act required meticulous planning and constant vigilance to prevent his carefully constructed facade from crumbling. With the passage of time, Gerald's criminal activities grew bolder and more brazen. As his confidence swelled and his position within the police force solidified, he became increasingly emboldened in his illicit endeavors. His thefts escalated in scale and audacity, fueled by a sense of invincibility derived from his elevated status. The culmination of Gerald's criminal career came in the pivotal year of 1980, when he conceived his most audacious heist yet, the robbery of the city's largest bank. The sheer audacity of orchestrating such a monumental operation was a testament to Gerald's ambition and cunning. However, Gerald understood that such a daring endeavor would be impossible without the complicity of corrupt associates willing to assist him. Tommy's close bond with Gerald was forged through years of collaboration in their illicit activities within the police force. Having first crossed paths 2 years prior to the bank heist, they quickly recognized each other's shared propensity for corruption and embarked on numerous ventures together. One of their earliest and most significant exploits occurred in 1978, setting the stage for their subsequent criminal enterprises. In a bold and calculated move, they orchestrated the theft of the police department's promotional examination papers. Exploiting their positions of authority, they clandestinely acquired the exams, meticulously copied them, and then brazenly sold the duplicated papers to ambitious officers seeking promotion. Priced at a hefty $5,000 per copy, these illicit commodities became highly coveted among their peers. What set their operation apart was its scope. They didn't limit their clientele to their own department or city, but instead extended their reach statewide. By casting a wide net, they maximized their profits and solidified their status as key players in the underground network of corrupt law enforcement officials. The repercussions of their scheme were twofold. Not only did they amass a considerable fortune from their nefarious enterprise, but they also wielded significant influence within the police hierarchy. By strategically distributing free copies of the exams to their inner circle of corrupt allies, they ensured the advancement of their cronies, thereby consolidating their power and control over the department. Through their calculated manipulation of the promotion process, Gerald and Tommy not only enriched themselves, but also perpetuated a culture of corruption within the police force. The exponential growth of Gerald and Tommy's corrupt activities not only facilitated their illicit schemes, but also emboldened them to pursue even more audacious endeavors. By the dawn of 1980, they had concocted a grand plan to execute their ultimate retirement heist, a single operation that would furnish them with enough wealth to live comfortably for the remainder of their lives. Tommy, having established a legitimate presence as a bank client with his own safety deposit box, assumed the crucial role of conducting initial reconnaissance. His mission was meticulous, to scrutinize every aspect of the bank vault with precision. From the layout and dimensions to the intricacies of the locks and the thickness of the doors, no detail escaped his scrutiny. Upon completion of his reconnaissance mission, Tommy relayed his findings to Gerald, the mastermind behind their audacious scheme. Recognizing the complexity of breaching the vault, Gerald concluded that they would need a competent team to execute their plan flawlessly. Their first recruit was none other than Joe Bangs, another corrupt police officer ensnared in their web of criminality. Assembling a team of individuals adept at navigating the murky waters of corruption, Gerald and Tommy meticulously planned each phase of their operation. Their collective expertise in law enforcement not only provided them with insider knowledge, but also shielded them from suspicion, enabling them to operate with impunity. The addition of Francis O'Leary, a seasoned ex-gangster renowned for his expertise in robberies, expanded their group to 4 members. However, Gerald recognized the necessity of a 5th member with specialized skills in electronics to disable the bank's sophisticated silent alarm system. Enter Bucky Bart, a professional thief whom Gerald had previously apprehended. With Bucky's extensive experience in dealing with alarm systems, he became an indispensable asset to the team. Thus, the gang now comprised Gerald, the mastermind, Tommy, his trusted confidant, Joe, the 3rd corrupt officer, Francis, the seasoned ex-gangster, and Bucky, the expert tasked with neutralizing the bank's alarm. Bucky, armed with his expertise in electronics, embarked on the daunting task of devising a device to deactivate the bank's alarm system. However, the process was not without its challenges. The intricate network of wires within the alarm system required meticulous identification of the correct circuits to disrupt. For 2 months, the gang devoted themselves to extensive experimentation, rigorously testing various configurations to ensure the effective blocking of the alarm signal. Each trial necessitated meticulous restoration of the alarm system to its original state to evade detection by bank personnel or technicians. Their status as police officers provided the perfect guise for these clandestine trials. While Bucky meticulously worked on the alarm system, the gang's patrol car maintained a vigilant presence, deterring any unwanted intrusions without arousing suspicion, thanks to their uniforms and official vehicle. After exhaustive efforts, the gang triumphed in identifying the optimal wire and method to block the alarm signal, overcoming their first major obstacle. Yet formidable challenges lay ahead, particularly the impregnable walls of the vault room, constructed from reinforced concrete with a thickness of 50 centimeters. They recognized that the prospect of drilling through the vault's reinforced concrete walls would be prohibitively time-consuming, possibly spanning days, rendering it an impractical option. Thus, they opted for a more expedient approach, utilizing dynamite to blast through the walls. However, this approach posed its own set of challenges. The detonation of dynamite could potentially draw unwanted attention due to the noise it generated. To mitigate this risk, they devised a strategic plan to carry out their operation on Memorial Day, a day renowned for its festive atmosphere characterized by fireworks and celebrations. They reasoned that any explosions heard amidst the festivities would likely be attributed to the holiday revelries rather than arousing suspicion. As Memorial Day coincided with a prolonged weekend, ensuring the bank's closure for 3 consecutive days, the gang seized the opportune moment to set their plan in motion. The cacophony of the celebrations coupled with the extended closure of the bank provided the ideal cover, affording them ample time to execute their scheme discreetly. The core team comprised 4 members: Gerald, the corrupt mastermind and first officer; Joe, another corrupt officer; Francis, the seasoned gangster; and Bucky, the skilled thief entrusted with neutralizing the alarm. Meanwhile, Tommy, Gerald's trusted associate, assumed the pivotal role of patrolling the vicinity in a police vehicle, effectively shielding their activities from external interference. Positioned as the highest-ranking officer on duty that fateful night, Tommy wielded his authority to divert any potential threats away from the bank, ensuring their uninterrupted operation. Meanwhile, Gerald and his cohorts commenced their meticulously orchestrated heist. Their initial objective was to neutralize the bank's alarm system, a task swiftly executed by Bucky using his specialized electronic device. Subsequently, they navigated through an adjacent shop with less secure entry points, progressing to the attic. Here, a partition wall separated them from the vault room below, offering a weaker barrier ripe for breaching. Now situated directly above the bank's vault room, the gang found themselves in a space cluttered with various installations and pipes, with the thick concrete ceiling of the bank's vault lying just beneath their feet. This formidable ceiling, boasting a depth of approximately 50 centimeters, presented the obstacle they needed to overcome to gain access to the vault. Their first task was to drill holes into this concrete ceiling to accommodate the insertion of dynamite sticks. Meanwhile, Tommy, stationed outside in the police car, maintained constant radio contact with the team inside. Prior to initiating any noisy operations, they awaited Tommy's confirmation that the coast was clear. His vigilance proved crucial when he abruptly radioed the team to halt their drilling as he spotted two individuals approaching the area. These individuals, as it turned out, were shop owners tending to their store opposite the bank. Although most shops were shuttered, these two had ventured out to organize some items. Tommy swiftly intervened, alerting them to criminal activities in the vicinity and advising them to vacate the area promptly. Oblivious to any nefarious activities, the shop owners complied, appreciative of the police's proactive stance on maintaining security. With the area now clear, the gang resumed their drilling operation, puncturing holes into the vaulted ceiling to accommodate the dynamite sticks. Once the preparations were complete, they carefully positioned sandbags over the dynamite, serving both to dampen the explosion's sound and to direct its force downward towards the vault ceiling. Retreating to the adjacent shop, the four men remotely detonated the explosives. The resultant explosion, though significant, went unnoticed by authorities or residents nearby, as anticipated. Any witnesses likely attributed the noise to the ongoing Memorial Day festivities, validating the gang's meticulous planning and foresight. The explosion tore a sizable hole in the vault ceiling, yet some iron bars remained intact, proving resistant to the blast's force. Prepared for this eventuality, the gang had brought along a welding torch, which they wielded to slice through the remaining bars. Though the process was painstaking and time-consuming, they eventually succeeded in breaching the barrier and descending into the vault room. Within this chamber lay the coveted inner safe, where the bank stored its funds, alongside safety deposit boxes rented out to customers for safeguarding their valuables. Dividing their efforts, two members focused on cracking open the inner safe using welding torches, while the other two concentrated on prying open the locks securing the safety deposit boxes. Their primary objective was the inner safe, which they anticipated would yield a substantial haul of cash. After an arduous hour of cutting through the safe's defenses, they pried it open only to be met with disappointment. A mere $60,000 lay within. Unbeknownst to them, the bulk of the bank's funds had been transferred to the Federal Reserve, a routine procedure undertaken before extended closures, such as the upcoming holiday weekend. Ironically, the timing that had initially seemed opportune for the heist had ultimately worked against them, leaving the vault nearly barren. Frustrated and disillusioned after months of meticulous planning, the gang found themselves grappling with the harsh reality of their meager haul. In a bid to salvage their operation, they shifted their focus to the safety deposit boxes, despite their initial skepticism regarding the potential spoils within. As night gave way to dawn, they reluctantly abandoned their endeavors, opting to regroup and strategize for the following nights. With the bank slated to remain closed for the duration of the holiday weekend, they still had time to press on with their mission. Despite the risks looming ahead, their status as police officers and the presence of their lookout provided them with a semblance of reassurance amidst the uncertainty. Had they been typical criminals, the prospect of returning to the scene of their crime would have been unthinkable. Yet, undeterred, they ventured back into the vault on the subsequent night, intent on pilfering the remaining treasures locked within the safety deposit boxes. To their astonishment, the contents far exceeded their expectations, yielding a trove of cash and jewels. Their efforts yielded approximately $2 million in cash and a staggering $8 million in jewels and gold, amounting to a near-perfect haul of $10 million. This windfall, they reckoned, would suffice for a lifetime, obviating any need for further illicit endeavors. Their immediate concern was the equitable distribution of the spoils. While the cash was easily divided among themselves, the division of the jewelry posed a logistical challenge due to its uncertain value. Opting for pragmatism over division, they resolved to liquidate the jewels on the black market, realizing a lower but expedient return. Designating Joe Bang, the third accomplice, as the custodian of the jewelry, they dispersed to their respective hideouts with their shares of the loot, heeding Gerald's caution against drawing undue attention in the face of impending police scrutiny. With FBI involvement anticipated given the scale of the theft, discretion was paramount. As dawn broke, the discovery of the Heist by bank staff prompted a swift response from law enforcement, with the FBI leading the investigation. Tommy, one of the perpetrators, covertly monitored the investigation, ensuring their tracks remained obscured. Despite initial suspicions falling on local insiders with intimate knowledge of the bank's operations, Gerald remained unfazed, confident that their meticulous planning had left no trace of their involvement. When pressed by the FBI regarding his whereabouts during the heist, Gerald opted for an alibi involving his secret lover, Barbara Hickey, rather than claiming he was at home with his family, fearing potential contradictions. Despite the personal risk of revealing his extramarital affair, Gerald saw it as the most secure option to account for his whereabouts on the night in question. Indeed, he did visit Barbara following the operation, ensuring a semblance of truth to his story. Prior to the investigation, Gerald had coached Barbara to corroborate his alibi if questioned, effectively providing him with a witness to support his claims. True to their arrangement, when Barbara was brought in for questioning by the FBI, she affirmed Gerald's presence with her throughout the night, reinforcing his alibi. Despite extensive inquiries by the FBI, including interviews with police officers, bank staff, and nearby shop owners, no conclusive evidence emerged linking Gerald or his accomplices to the heist. As the investigation progressed, Gerald remained composed, anticipating the case to gradually cool down over time. However, his accomplices Tommy and Joe struggled to maintain their composure in the aftermath of the heist. Succumbing to the allure of their newfound wealth, they indulged in reckless spending on luxuries, drugs, and lavish entertainment. Gerald had entrusted Joe with the stolen jewelry, intending to convert it into cash once the investigation subsided. However, Joe's erratic behavior, including gifting pieces of the jewelry and selling others, threatened their carefully laid plans. When Tommy discovered Joe's indiscretions, fueled by their drug-induced states, a violent altercation ensued, resulting in Joe's unexpected demise at the hands of Tommy. The arrival of the police marked a turning point, flipping the situation on its head for Tommy. Joe's survival from the gunshot only exacerbated matters, prompting higher authorities to intervene and launch an investigation into the incident, given its involvement of police officers. With the state police taking charge, surpassing the local city police in rank, a thorough examination of the scene ensued, including the inspection of both Tommy's and Joe's vehicles. The pivotal moment came when the state police uncovered a bag in Joe's car trunk, containing a portion of the stolen jewelry along with a kilogram of cocaine. This discovery significantly altered the trajectory of the investigation and the fallout from the bank heist. Upon learning about Tommy and Joe's predicament, Gerald realized the gravity of the situation. With two of his accomplices embroiled in an investigation and evidence of the stolen jewelry surfacing, Gerald's prospects shifted dramatically. Gone were the days of waiting for the case to cool down. Now, he found himself in a precarious position, reliant on the discretion of his partners to safeguard his involvement. As Tommy's trial commenced, with Joe as a witness, the courtroom was thrown into disarray when Joe confessed to his drug use and participation in the bank heist, implicating Tommy as his partner. This revelation rocked the courtroom, leading to Tommy's conviction for the shooting. Moreover, Joe, facing scrutiny from the FBI, struck a deal to provide details of the heist in exchange for immunity. Despite his compromised credibility, His testimony provided valuable leads for the investigators, directing their focus towards Gerald. Delving into Gerald's personal life, the FBI unearthed his affair with Barbara, who, under protection assurances, divulged Gerald's return on the night of the heist covered in dust, notably cement dust. This revelation cast a damning shadow over Gerald's involvement in the heist. This revelation proved to be the breakthrough the investigators had been waiting for. Acting on this lead, they apprehended Gerald at his residence on charges related to the bank robbery. Despite his nerves, Gerald clung to the belief that he had left no incriminating evidence behind and could vindicate himself with competent legal representation. However, the true shock for Gerald came when his former lover, Barbara, took the stand as a witness during the trial. Her testimony not only recounted the night of his return covered in dust, but also painted a damning picture of his character, depicting him as a corrupt officer who often discussed a significant operation that would change his life forever. Sitting in the courtroom, Gerald realized that his fate was sealed. He wasn't alone in facing judgment. Alongside him stood Tommy, whose actions had triggered the entire chain of events. Also in the dock were Francis, the seasoned gangster, and Bucky, the skilled thief responsible for disabling the alarm system. However, Joe, the third corrupt officer and their erstwhile accomplice, turned against them during the trial. In exchange for his confession and testimony against his former cohorts, Joe had secured immunity from prosecution. The verdict was swift and severe. Gerald and his co-defendants received sentences ranging from 30 to 40 years in prison. They were confronted with the stark reality of spending their remaining years behind bars, their lives forever altered by the consequences of their decisions. And thus, we conclude this tale. We hope you found it engaging. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, we encourage you to do so and hit the notification bell for updates on our future content. Additionally, feel free to explore our archive of captivating stories. Until next time, take care.